Now welcome to another Let's Talk Some Star Wars, where this time our question is, which is the better Fett, Boba or Jango? And I will of course be reading and responding to some of the comments left on the poll, but first we have to get to those results, where we will see that 57% of voters said Boba is the better Fett, and 43% said Jango. And honestly, I wasn't really sure how this one was going to go. I kind of felt it was a coin flip that I could have gone either way. I thought it was going to be close and closer than this turned out to be. I think Boba won by a pretty sizable margin here by 14%. But again, I do think or thought it was going to be a coin flip. I think there is an interesting case to be made for either character, and we will get to some of those right away here in the comments because I'm just going to move right to those, but not before once again just saying thank you to everybody who votes or comments or watches these or any of my videos across both the channels. Also, a huge thank you to those who support the channels on Patreon. And now let's get to those comments, starting as we always do with the top rated one, or the one that got the most thumbs up. And this time it comes to us from D Bass, who said, I literally don't know anymore, lol. Jango Fett didn't have a show turn him into a joke. And again, considering this was the top rated comment and that it wasn't the only comment that kind of said a thing or two about the book of Boba Fett and how not so good it was and how it didn't do the character any favors, I do have to wonder if we subtracted that, if it had never happened, if maybe Boba actually wins this by a larger margin. If I'm wrong, that it's not as close as I thought it was, that it's not really a coin flip, that, yeah, a lot of people consider Boba the better character of the two. Though, speaking of Book of Boba Fett and how it was disappointing for Boba Fett fans, or just fans of Star Wars in a lot of cases, I don't think a lot of people loved that show. Sure, some did, that's fine, but I think a lot of people were disappointed by it. And I think that's in large part because of all the shows that they have made that felt like the easiest home run of them all. It felt like the easiest home run in the history of anything. You just kind of put Boba Fett in there doing cool things. Maybe some sort of revenge story. I think that just makes more sense than him becoming the daimyo and wanting to do good suddenly, having a kind of change of heart and caring about the people. I'm not saying he's like the most evil character of all time. I've always thought of him as somebody who just does his own thing, and if you get in his way, he's going to kill you if he needs to. But if you don't get in his way, he's probably just going to leave you alone and pass you by. I mean, that doesn't make him a good guy, but I don't think he's just kind of like a flat-out evil character. Anyway, that show felt like it should have been the easiest and biggest home run of all time. I've always said that, yes, I want substance over spectacle. But in that case, if you would have emphasized the spectacle, if you would have made it a lot like what we saw in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, in the 6th episode in particular, where he's just cracking stormtrooper skulls and he's just kind of badass and cool, I think that show is a big win. Instead, again, they try to make him the daimyo, and he kind of maybe gets a little overshadowed by Fennec Shand at times, and then they take 2 episodes away from him and give it to Mando and Grogu, and it just kind of became a mess. Should have been a slam dunk or home run or however you want to put it. Instead, it wasn't. We'll say that. Alright, and now moving on to a comment from the Batman man, who said, and I'm only going to read the first part and respond to the first part of the comment here, not that the whole comment isn't good or anything, but that's the part I'm going to tackle. And they said, I've personally never understood the fascination with Boba Fett. In almost all of his screen in episode 4 and 5, he's just standing there looking cool, but not doing or saying anything noteworthy until he gets eaten by a Sarlacc. And yet he's got this massive fan base of people thinking he's one of the coolest parts of the entire series. Seriously, what is his appeal? Because I don't get it at all. Alright, I'm going to try to answer that question, and mind you, I'm not the biggest Boba Fett fan myself. My favorite bounty hunter is actually Cad Bane, but let's not talk about the Book of Boba Fett there either. Anyway, the first thing you have to remember with Boba Fett is if you go way back in the day, he is the first character from The Empire Strikes Back we ever seen. If you were a kid, you were collecting the proof of purchases, you were sending them in to get your Boba Fett figure, your rocket-launching Boba Fett figure that never had a rocket launcher, because kids were going to shoot their eye out or something. Either way, I think that alone for a lot of kids at the time was enough to cement him as this legendary character. He was, of course, going to be cool. He was the first action figure and all of that. And then in The Empire Strikes Back, let's give him a little bit of credit. I see a lot of people saying he does nothing in that movie, but he starts out being someone that Vader clearly has a lot of respect for. I've pointed out before that little scene where Vader is going down the line of bounty hunters. He says he wants them taken alive and points at Boba Fett and says no disintegrations. And Boba's like, yeah, as you wish. To me, that has always said that once upon a time, somewhere in their past, Boba has taken a job for Vader and disintegrated someone he wasn't supposed to disintegrate. And normally, as we see, especially in The Empire Strikes Back, if you upset Darth Vader, he is just going to kill you. But in the case of Boba Fett, He's literally disintegrated somebody that Vader wanted, and yet here he is again, standing on the bridge of his ship, being hired to find another target. And that just shows a hell of a lot of respect for this guy. That, yeah, you defied me once before, but I'm going to invite you back and give you a job again because you're just that damn good. I normally kill people who don't do as I tell them, or who defy me, or who fail me. But you're something special. And so for me, that has always been the legend of Boba Fett, that he has done something, again, that angered Vader, but Vader's like, yeah, you're just too damn good to kill. I'm going to want to use you again. There's also then the fact that he outsmarts Han Solo and gets the Empire to Cloud City first and helps set the trap. He also helps set the trap for Luke. He leads a Luke right to Vader. So the idea that he doesn't do like anything in The Empire Strikes Back, I kind of get that. Action-wise, he's not really fighting anybody or doing anything quite like that. But he certainly has a very pivotal role in that movie. He does accomplish a lot, even if it isn't going toe-to-toe with Luke or whatever it might be. He's an important character in that film, and it's clear he has a history with Vader that is probably troubled, but here he is, still alive and well, and taking another job for Vader despite failing him, or defying him, you could say, once before. Okay, and now we move on to this comment from Lone Battle Droid, who said, I'm definitely biased, as Attack of the Clones was my favorite Star Wars movie growing up, but the reason I liked Jango more was that, at the time, we got to see him do more cool things like going toe-to-toe with the Jedi. And his death was far less embarrassing than Boba's. Yes, he didn't die, but 6-year-old me didn't know that. Plus, his blaster and seismic charge sound effects are pure music to my ears. First of all, yes, the seismic charge is one of the coolest sound effects in all of Star Wars, and that's really saying something considering how many cool sound effects we could probably isolate and point out. But it certainly is one of the coolest, especially in the theater, and the whole theater kind of shakes when that thing goes off. Anyway, I agree with you that when it comes to action, yes, him going toe-to-toe with Kenobi and getting away and all of that is, it's more impressive than anything we physically see Boba Fett doing in the films. Certainly no question about it. However, and this might be a hot take or a controversial take, some people are certainly going to disagree. That's fine. I love a good conversation or debate in the comments, but I'm not sure that like Jango's death is all that more noble or impressive. I saw a lot of people bringing up how good it was, and it's like, well, yeah, he shot Coleman Trevor, who really wasn't there to fight him. He was trying to kill Dooku, and he shot him kind of when he wasn't paying attention to him and got the kill there. But when he went against Windu just like ran at him, blocked all his blaster bolts, and cut his head off. I'm not sure that was extremely impressive. Again, yeah, Kenobi, he did a great job on, but Windu embarrassed him, let's be real. Not saying it was worse than Boba Fett's kind of embarrassing death, but they are somewhat similar. It involves their jetpack not functioning properly. It just so happens that Han accidentally fires off Boba's and he goes crashing into the sail barge. And in the Jango Fett, he gets run over by the Reek and it seems to malfunction, so he can't fly away from Ace and do the same tricks he did against Obi-Wan. Anyway, all I'm saying is both of them had some bad luck, and yes, Boba's was worse, but I don't know that Jango's death was all that much better. Alright, and now we move on to this comment from Kristen Wisniewski, who said, as someone who thoroughly enjoys the Legends novels, Boba Fett became such a fascinating character for me. As time progressed, even though his rivalry with Han cooled to the point where he was willing to train Jaina and gift him with Beskar armor, he still clearly towed the line between hero and villain. He always remained the unpredictable yet ominous threat everyone needed to watch out for. Plus, I loved the dynamic between him and his granddaughter. It helped to humanize him in a way I did not see coming. Jango is fantastic, but Boba will always be my favorite of the two. And even though you could certainly argue Jango is handled well in the EU too, he has a heck of a story there, I do have to agree with you and give the nod to Boba Fett. This is where the legend of Boba Fett is really made. It certainly wasn't in the movies. Yes, I made a strong case, or at least I think I made a pretty decent case for why he was loved in the movies and loved by people who have never picked up a single EU novel. But in the EU, yes, he does become a fully fleshed out and interesting character. And again, Jango is fine in the EU too, but I do give the nod to Boba there. It's really just a shame that the Book of Boba Fett was what it was, instead of either tapping into maybe the EU a little bit, or again, just being a show about Boba Fett running around kicking some ass and taking names, or not even bothering to take names. Some sort of revenge tour, something along those lines, instead of, again, what it was. Alright, and our final comment here comes from Bebis Queen, who said, the beauty of Star Wars is that, yes, in a particular movie and Disney Plus show, Boba Fett was portrayed in a less than ideal light. But he still looks cool, and there's other media that depicts him as the cool person he appears to be. I'm happy just having my Lego figure and telling my own stories with him. No Sarlacc pit or mega corporation can take that away from me. Boba Fett is just a cool looking guy, and I'll always like him and think he's cool. And yeah, you can love whatever one you love more for whatever reason. Again, these polls are all in good fun. I was very curious to see this one because, again, I thought this was going to be really close. I thought Jango may win. I thought Boba may eke it out. And again, I was kind of surprised that Boba did as well as he did. He had a pretty healthy margin of victory there, even after Book of Boba Fett. But again, at the end of the day, it's all in good fun, and I always appreciate the comments on these polls. Again, I read pretty much every single comment and a lot of the replies to comments too, and there's not a lot of arguing or petty bickering or name calling or any of that. It's a lot of healthy discussions, a lot of just people expressing their opinions, and that's the cool part. I get to read all these comments from people who just have different takes and different opinions on Star Wars, and as I've said before, it broadens my own knowledge of Star Wars. It helps me see it in different ways and in different lights. So I really do appreciate, again, all the people who take the time to vote, and especially those who comment and leave some really, really thought-provoking comments, and I wish I could get to more of them, but I ramble too much like I am right now, so that's going to be all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell me who you think is the better Fett. Is it Boba? Is it Jango? Whatever the case may be, though, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.